Hi, and welcome to Cooks and Cars Raceday Nation edition. I'm Rob D'Amico alongside Michele Rahal, laughing his ass off.
I think everything's funny. The human condition is funny.
We just start the show and he starts laughing. It's got to be my facial expressions or something, the way I pronounce something. He's like, I know
or
it's
mispronounce something.
Yeah, here it comes. Here it comes.
I'm turning you into the Department of Misinformation.
Yeah, we're fake news. All good stuff, man. Appreciate it. All right. Don't forget, you can find us online at cooksandcars.com, also racedaynation.com. And the show is presented by the Big Green Egg, the ultimate cooking experience. Log on to biggreenegg.com to find an authorized dealer near you. You can shop online and have it home delivered for free. That's right. Log on to biggreenegg.com. All right. Today, we're going to be talking about a couple of things. First, where can you find us? We can find us online at racedaynation.com and also cooksandcars.com. Those are the first two. Second, Rahal, where can we find you and online and all that great stuff?
You can find me on Facebook at Michele Rahal, and that is Michele, 1L, and Rahal, Rahal. There aren't too many of us, there's very few of us on Facebook with that exact name. You'll see mine. On Instagram, it's at Michele Rahal, Michele Rahal. And as always, the misapportioned, who knows how the hell it happened, number 9 comes right after my name. Why, don't know. We will get to the bottom of this.
That's what makes it memorable.
Oh, no, my lawyers. I'm going to have lawyers.
Get them on the line right now.
Lawyers after them. I'm going to get Elon Musk to buy them.
Yeah, that's right. All right. You can find me online as well. It's at Rob D'Amico. It's ROBDAMICO. And all right, so we're going to start with IndyCar here. A great race. Listen, they had weather. They went from rain tires to slicks back to rain tires. It made for a great race, right? That's what we like to see.
It did. I just don't understand, and I'm still trying to figure this out. Why, they're full wets. They run full wets. I didn't see any intermediate tires being changed.
Yeah.
And I think if I'm not mistaken, the softest tire they've got, actually the softest tire that any of the series have, are rain tires.
Yep.
If
absolutely.
you run on dry, they just start to chunk away.
Yep.
But what rain does is it takes a driver who's maybe in ill equipment or ill handling equipment, and it lets them showcase their ability. I mean, that's how Senna showed how fast he was. It's how Max Verstappen showed how fast he was in Formula One. It rained, and they got to the front. So when it rains, it's like an equalizer. And that's what we saw yesterday, and we saw who can handle a car like that. And they're difficult cars to drive. Even the F1 drivers know it. Difficult cars to drive, but Colton Herta, who may be up for an F1 seat, he shone. He really did. He took that car. He handled it well. His strategy was good. But moving through the rain, especially in intermittent conditions, is difficult.
Yeah.
Very difficult. But I can guarantee you all the F1 teams watched that race.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Especially with Colton, with the name running around, with the Andretti deal coming to the F1, all that stuff, which we'll get into here in a minute, because this is a IndyCar / F1 kind of an open wheel segment that we're going to do here today. But I will say I had the opportunity to actually race in the rain for a little bit as well when I did the Mustang Challenge, and I found it very difficult because, it's supposed to level the playing field a little bit, but literally it was my first race. Never had rain tires on a car like that. Always had the slicks. And when they put them on, that they told me when the weather started to dry out, they said, "Hey, find any puddle. Spot. Yeah, get on, run through any puddle you can find. All that great stuff, and try to keep those tires cool." And I didn't understand what that was. So very interesting stuff there. So let me get into that real quick here with the IndyCar results. We got Colton Herta on top, Simon Pagenaud, Will Power, Marcus Ericsson, Connor Daly, Felix Rosenquist, Kumo Sato. And here's a name for you I'm going to throw out here that I don't know. I did a little research on him. It's Cullum Islet or Islet. I don't know how he pronounces his last name. But it's a British driver who is with a reserve driver for Alfa Romeo in F1 and was runner-up in 2020 as the Formula 2 champ was Mick Schumacher. he was second place. So young guy trying to come in. I think he's 23 years old, but he is in IndyCar, and it obviously showed his talent when it started to rain, and a difficult car for these guys. And then you had Christian Lundgaard, 9th, and Scott Dixon running out the top 10. And again,
he
you
wasn't
see this.
happy.
No,
Dixon
he
was
was
not happy with the team right now.
No, and this is where I was just about to make mention. You see some of these guys in the flipping of the names that are up at the top now, a little changing of the guard there. Even Graham's having some issues this year. Juan got crashed out late, but I will say Juan was able to. It was pretty amazing what he was able to do, because he started way in the back and worked his way up. And his talent is unreal. It doesn't matter the car. This is what I like to see.
Oh, he was praying for rain.
Yeah, absolutely.
That, and I understand why. I think he clipped the wall. It wasn't nobody took him out. He did clip the wall. It's not hard to lose a car in the rain. Even with the excellent rain tires that they do have. But I've actually raced. One of my first experiences was with full wets. Was at Charlotte. It snowed. And when it melted, there were puddles, and you couldn't on the banks. When you got up onto the banks, there's no there's no wet line, so those tires just started chunking away. So
they will fall apart. When you say chunking apart, that's absolutely what they do.
Size, pieces of tread popping over your head.
Yeah,
I mean, but it was it's tough, but you got to find that the puddles or the wet track to be able to keep the tires cool. That's the point.
That was the whole thing with me. I'm like, you want me to run through the wet parts? I was like, I'm like, please let me get out of this stuff, because I was so new to the game. I was so worried about crashing the car.
Really was.
What's that?
I said, that's a baptism for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, your first race was in the rain.
Yeah.
My first pro race, it was a wet practice in Atlantics, and then it was a street course and a standing start. So it's like, I'm sure you acquitted yourself well. I know you're a really good driver, but I know it was different. I know what you went through. Strange feeling. You don't feel like the whole car is under you. It's I was so nervous, man, because I don't have a huge budget, right? And I'm thinking, I'm crashing the car. Don't crash.
Yeah, this is it. I just bought me a Mustang.
But as soon as you start thinking that way, that's usually when you do crash.
That's correct. And that's what I found it was bad. And we were talking about that in another show, where emotion gets into your head, and that's a bad thing. It's a really bad thing. And I will say this, not having a budget and knowing that in the back of my head, that if I crash a car, you don't put your full effort in it. You just don't, because you're too nervous.
No, and that was the same thing I went through with the Atlantics in the first race, street race, first stand and start. No practice other than the 45 minutes. And it was like, if you let fear creep in, you're doomed.
Yeah.
So you just got to go and get it done. You got to go ahead and be aggressive and do what you do. And if it rains, you do everything you normally do. You just do it a hell of a lot slower, knowing that you may have to drive offline to keep the tires cool.
Yeah, I definitely crap my pants a lot slower. It was I got out and I was like,
okay, see that one.
All right, let's take a look at the points real quick in IndyCar. It's Will Power on top. He's now the points leader. Been very consistent all year long. But that guy, obviously he's there, waiting to get the victory lane. Alex below, Scott McLaughlin, Joseph Newgarden, Scott Dixon, Colton Herta, Pato Award, Marcus Ericsson, Romain Grosjean, and Rinus VK round out your top 10 in points in IndyCar. Going back to last week in the F1 race, a great race. I thought, hey, man, this was a spectacular showcase for F1 here in the U.S. We talked about TV ratings in our last show, but this one, NASCAR and F1 going right up against each other pretty much. Yeah. NASCAR having a little longer race and being able to get some of those eyeballs after the race. But, NASCAR didn't really beat it out by that much, and it was the most watched F1 race ever in America.
Yeah. And it's just going to grow. and I'm okay with that. I'm good with that. A lot of complaints about Miami. Even the guy that designed the whole track, he
Yeah.
said he was just totally embarrassed by all the comments from the drivers. Well, wait a minute. These guys, all the tracks out there that are brand new have problems when you first start. Now, what are they going to be able to do with that chicane? I don't know. That was probably the worst. But the track coming up during the race and, chipping away in some certain spots, that's it's not acceptable in Formula One, but for a first race,
Yeah.
it's expected.
Yeah.
You're racing drivers, you're at the top of the entire world of motorsports in terms of ability. Most of them, not the ones that are, paying and have the rich, incredibly rich fathers. But most of them, stop whining, race the damn car, race.
Yeah.
Let's have a
Listen,
motor race.
you bitching isn't changing anything. Save
No,
it
it
to
ain't
after the
changing.
race when
No,
you
no.
can sit in a room, round table the whole thing.
Yeah.
Hey, the track was dirty. This was going on. This came up, things like that. We got to widen this corner, whatever it is. You could talk about those to make it better after the race. Nothing is going to change while you're in that car with the helmet on.
No, because frankly, I thought Verstappen and Leclerc put on a beautiful performance of letting everyone else know how damn good the two of them are. Because right now, they're the class of the field by a long shot. I wouldn't rule Hamilton out. I certainly wouldn't rule George Russell out if they can sort out that Mercedes. Now they've said they're bringing huge updates to Spain, which is this coming weekend.
Yeah.
That can only be one of two things. Either they've reconfigured the side pods and the flooring, or they've reconfigured the floor. One of the two. Because remember, in these cars, they're ground effects. So there's an upsweep underneath the car that sucks the car to the track.
That's right.
And once it does, it hits the bottom and bounces back up. So that's what that porpoising thing is. Beyond that, let's see what Hamilton and Russell have to offer. Hamilton is probably screaming bloody murder right now because Russell's beating him. His young teammate is beating him. We've got
Listen,
another.
I think mentally, Hamilton, so he runs in most cases, the guy with the yellow bar, the yellow, stripes and all that stuff, but the little TV thing up at the top, when that's yellow, that usually means a second driver. In this case, Lewis, says, hey, I'm the number one driver, but I keep this because it matches my helmet. And I think mentally he knows I'm not the number one driver here, and I'm not going to be in a couple of years. So let me kind of transition this into, it's matching my helmet. I'm color, coding everything, and I cry a little BS on that. I think he knows that, hey, there's a changing of that guard, right? And he doesn't want to admit it.
He hasn't lost anything, but he's one of those drivers that has to be in a perfect car, and he's been delivered from day one of entry into F1, great cars.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, really competitive cars. Now, they didn't win every race. They didn't win every championship with McLaren. But, once they went to the hybrid era, it was Katie Bar. It was game over. He had the best car. He was a clear number one. He did have some trouble with Rosberg as time went on, but even Rosberg said, this deal is stacked in Lewis Hamilton's favor, which is part of the fallout from Alonso being at McLaren originally with Hamilton as a teammate.
Real quick, I want to run down the results. We're getting tight on time here in Miami. It was Max Verstappen, obviously, with the win there. Congratulations to him. I thought Charles Leclerc was going to be able to get him there at the end, but just didn't have enough to get it done. And I don't think even with extra laps, he would have pulled that one off. Carlos Sainz, Sergio Perez, George Russell, again in front of Lewis Hamilton, which I spelt Lewis's name wrong.
Hey, that's no different than they call him Sir Lulu.
And then Esteban Ocon, Alexander Albon, and Lance Stroll rounding out your top 10 there. What's that do for points? Charles Leclerc still on top at 104 points. Max gaining with 85. Sergio Perez George Russell up there, which is pretty amazing right now because we know those cars are not up to speed as of right now. But you can see the top 10 there, even a Haas car with 15 points there. Congratulations to those guys being able to get on the board and still stay in the top 10. So it is pretty impressive.
And Spain is this weekend. Catalunya is this weekend, the Spanish Grand Prix. And it looks to me as if that's going to benefit Red Bull in their straight line speed. But everybody's bringing updates. I mean, Mercedes and Ferrari are both believe that Red Bull is reaching its limit on spending to be able to update. I think that Christian Horner thought that through, and the updates that they have coming, probably minor but significant. When you're at those speeds, every update is significant if it works.
All right, real quick, I want to make mention about some of the news and rumors that are running around there. Michele, I'm going to let you hit a couple of these because one of them has Andretti and Audi, which is a big rumor, but there's also some other twists to that before any of those can come true.
Yeah, that became the big rumor that, that Audi wanted to pair with Andretti, that they'd make a commitment, but Alpine, whatever you want, tomato, whatever you want to call it. They have the Renault, the chairman came out and said, "Niet, we'll sign a deal with Andretti, and it will in de facto become similar to Ferrari Haas." Because if you don't know, folks, what Ferrari does is shares the engine and drivetrain, but also a lot of the components that are allowed under the rules, like suspension pieces and things like that. So everybody calls that car, the Haas cars, Moby Dick. And it's as if it were just a white Ferrari. And Alpine,
you just like saying that, don't you?
Yeah, man, it just turns me on. Ahab and all that. I think if Alpine, if they do this, it gives Andretti a great entree and a huge cadre of some sort of information. Because let's not kid ourselves. Yes, the IP has to stay with the major team. It can't really be a B team, but we all know that they are. And that may be the future of how privateers get in and get things done. Yeah. So that's one. And the other is Vettel. If you look at Vettel is undergoing some sort of a mental change, not for the worse, but in a different direction. He's much more of an activist, and I think he's even more militant than Lewis Hamilton is about some of these things.
Real quick, did you see him in Miami with the underwear on?
Oh yeah,
on the outside of it.
That's his protest.
Yeah,
Lewis
with
Hamilton,
the jewelry.
I ain't taking this jewelry off. Look, we couldn't wear jewelry. That's been a rule for time immemorial. You don't wear anything because
it's a safety thing. If there's fire, that's going to heat up and burn you.
Go right through you. But plus, if you're wearing a bracelet or something, it catches when they're trying to get you out of the car. So
absolutely,
yeah. I mean, shut up and do what the rules say. Is it good for you, Lewis, that you wanted the rules followed to the T in I think it was in Abu Dhabi for the championship, but you don't want to follow these rules? Which rules apply, which don't? The rules should apply. That's what you all lobbied for, from Toto Wolff all the way through Lewis and everybody else after throwing a tantrum. If you're going to follow the rules, follow the damn rules. Simple as that. But Vettel may not make it. He may retire at the end of this season. And with good reason. Lawrence Stroll's running that team. His team principal is not really a team principal. This is a classic case of a billionaire who takes over a team so his son can drive, and now he thinks he knows how to run an F1 team because he's a great businessman.
Right.
That just doesn't happen. You got to really know racing. You got to really know it well. You got to really have your managerial skills in racing to be able to do it. Money can only do so much. But the replacement that he wants Alonso. Yeah. Alonso, if Lawrence Stroll's running that team, Alonso is a complete idiot to take that deal. I don't want him to see him do a Villeneuve. You know, Jacques Villeneuve left the World Championship team to go to Bar Honda because of money. And what did they do? They fell flat on their face.
Yeah.
I just don't want to see Alonso do that. Alonso's famous for being able to help teams rise,
Yeah.
but not with somebody like Lawrence Stroll at the wheel. And I'm not impugning Lawrence Stroll's personality, his, value system, none of those things. I'm just simply saying he is not equipped to run a Formula One team. Full stop.
All right. Hey, and I wouldn't want to see that either, but I wanted to go because Alonso's better than that, right? He knows he can contribute to a team and rise the team up. I will say this. If you went back and looked at, you were talking about Vettel, there was a couple tweets made from Graham Rahal saying, hey, if you ever wanted the opportunity, we could put you together a seat for the Indy 500 and do all this stuff. And then Bobby even said, hey, it'd be a great idea. Love to do it. I would like to see something like that.
I don't think it's going to happen. I think Vettel is at the end, when he stops, I think he's going to become very much the activist. That's just my sense. I don't know him personally. Yeah. I just know what I hear through my sources. And I think that there are a number of these F1 drivers like Daniel Ricciardo. He said, no, when I'm done, I'm done. I'm not going prototypes. I'm not going INDYCAR. I'm done. He'll probably spend 90% of his time in the United States just raising hell and having fun. And he deserves it.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, also hit the real quick the Red Bull and Porsche deal, because that one is going to be spectacular. Yeah.
Well, the beauty of that is that Honda relinquished their IP, all their internet, everything.
Intellectual property. Hey, I'll help you once in a while.
Well, it's okay. I'm old. I can get away with it. I've got an excuse. Get off of my lawn, you little bastards. But it's one of those things.
Porsche. We were talking about Porsche. I just wanted to help you.
Thank you for reeling me back in. You bastard. The Porsche deal, they've already got the intellectual property from Honda, but once they've morphed it through the next couple of years, they've got a base. And trust me, if Porsche's signing a deal with Red Bull, they're looking at this already in place engine department. And they're using what they see because they know there's an engine in there that wins. So they're going to use a lot of what they have. But Porsche will be heavily involved. Involved.
Listen, if Porsche comes in
half-ass, they don't.
They want to come in to win. I mean, that's what they absolutely.
And they want to kick Audi's ass. That's what they want to do. Their sister, VW owns both of them, but they want to whoop Audi's ass.
It's in the family. Yeah, it's exactly it.
I'm gonna kick my ass. And that's that.
Don't forget, you can check out some of the other shows that we have. We did one with the Cup and recap of the Kansas race. You also have Juan Pablo Montoya. We talked to him. Jordan Taylor was another one. Yeah. If you missed those, please go to Raceday Nation or cooksandcars.com. All presented by the Big Green Egg, the ultimate cooking experience. You can shop online for free home delivery at biggreenegg.com. Michele, where can they find you?
They can find me on Facebook, Michele Rahal, MicheleRahal. Not too many of us there, so it should be easy. On Instagram, it's at Michele Rahal, MicheleRahal, and the number 9.
All right. You can find me at Rob D'Amico, ROBDAMICO, anywhere on the internet.
And in truck stop bathrooms.
That's not right, man.
I know. I don't care.
Yeah. All right. For Michele Rahal, I'm Rob D'Amico. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to tune in next time. We'll see you then.